Hey, I've got to come up with a new saying or something. I'll just close this down. Just hold on a second here. I'm going to try and be organised tonight, guys. Welcome back. What are we up to? Episode 12 of Robbo's Tech Talk Tuesday. Tonight's going to be a little bit something it's probably a little bit hard for us all to understand, a little bit hard for us all to talk about, and sometimes a little bit hard for us to comprehend some of these laws, regulations, rules. And I'll make it quite clear straight up that I'm far from any expert, and I'm not going to give anyone any advice in concrete, but basically I will talk about avenues you can use to help answer those questions you might have, and some of the issues that I see that can probably affect us all without us even knowing that we're doing something incorrect. But first of all, I'm just going to have a look at a few people, a few familiar names up here. Richard Hadfield, what are you doing on that motorbike? Well, that was a good question. Well, that is a good question, and one that I asked myself when we were coming back. We enjoyed the ride, myself and Azza. We did about 900 kilometres through the bush over 4 days on the dirt bikes / touring bikes. And yeah, heading back was going through a bit of a blizzard. Mini blizzard was a bit of a challenge, but yeah, I don't think I've shaken so much when I got home. 9 hours straight on the bike was a challenge. Hunting Truckee, it's good to see you there, mate. Obviously working hard. Robin Coker, how are you, mate? I think we've actually talked about some of the things as far as laws and that we've only recently sort of been made aware of regarding thermal gear, so I'll bring that up in a minute as well. Where we go? Yes, the Win 338, leave other people's trail cameras alone. Anyone that feels that they have to remove someone else's property, doesn't matter where it is, as far as in public area, it's a pretty low act. So yeah, definitely leave them alone. If you want to take the SD card out, see what's on it, put it back in, okay, but just leave it there. So yeah, definitely, it's low act, leave them alone. Deutbag, g'day mate. How are you, Richard Hadfield? Sammy James, I believe it was your birthday recently too, buddy. JT Strangle, hi from Minnesota. Well, I can guarantee you, it's great to see, but I guarantee you our laws are going to be probably totally different to what you've got over there. But I'll be definitely interested to see, hear from other locations and people at other locations to hear what they have to put up with or how lenient their laws are, because ours are certainly getting a lot tougher. Keto One Productions, g'day. Rob 14539, mobile couches. Jamie Bogut, hi Robbo, g'day mate. Game Trails Camera, g'day Robbo. How are you, mate? Good to see Steve on there as well. Deutbag, it was good to have the GMA at Maroka last Friday, and the Texan deer sausages were all... Well, I'm glad you like those. They're my favourite, my Texan sausages. Well, I shouldn't say mine. Everyone helped making them, but... Alright, so I'm going to kick it off. There's a few people on here now, and hopefully there'll be a few more. Yeah, so obviously things have changed over the last sort of 5, 10, 15, 20 years as far as our laws for hunting and firearms and whatever. And I think we need to look at that. The biggest issue that we probably have now is there's so many different governing bodies, and you've got your firearms where the Victorian police sort of look after that side of the storage and use of and whatever. But it's also, you've got now, in Victoria, you've got the GMA, or the Game Management Authority. That's Game Management Authority. That sort of oversee the sort of the public areas, the areas that we can luckily allowed to hunt deer and some other feral species. So yeah, it's gone are the days where you could just throw your rifle over your shoulder or carry it in a bag down the street, whatever. We all know that, but I think we just need to also understand that the regulations, as much as they're toughening up, look, when we caught up with the guys from the GMA last Friday and whatever, they're just like us. They're just fellow hunters, and they've just got a job to do, and they would prefer to educate people. And the only way they're going to do that is for people to ask some questions. So the first thing I can say is don't be afraid to contact them. Now, I've actually posted a few links on the bottom of this video. I hope I have. There's a few links to the GMA. First of all, they're straight up on their page, which I should be able to bring that up right here, right now. Let's see how switched on I am here with this. I'll see if I can bring this up. Okay, so that's what you're going to see when you click on the GMA site, and it's got a lot of different links to different applications. And look, a lot of it's not going to apply to me. Like, I don't hunt ducks, for argument's sake, so I don't really have to look into that in depth. But I think we need to make sure, if we're specific deer hunters, or like if you're a hog deer hunter or whatever, make sure you know the rules and regulations. And if you're not sure how to interpret them, get in contact with them. Like, all their contact details are up on there. And also, the GMA put out, I'll get rid of this again, just bear with me. The GMA put out this good book, and that's an older one. There is a newer one which is also available on that site. I'll click on there again. It should be just down here where I'm highlighting there now. And what you will get, let's see if I've got this up, is you will get this up on here. You hit one button. Blimey, this is what happens. Sorry, guys. I hit one button, and that's my hotspot. See, I told you what happens when I'm getting too technically oriented. That's why, obviously, people were ringing me. My God. Technology. While I'm all for hunting opportunities, and GMA, it's a bit of a slap in the face to have to pay to hunt deer that are being culled with taxpayers' monies. I can understand that, Dan, but at the same time, I suppose, every body, every organisation has to be funded somewhere, and I'm afraid our taxes are going to cover it every bloody time. So, yes, I've realised now. That's why obviously people are trying to ring me. Trouble is I hotspot things to make it quicker, and I must have bumped the left button, which turns me mic off. And I'm concentrating on talking in this camera, not looking at all the things down here. I need someone to help me with this, because I can be a little bit of a spastic when it comes to, I shouldn't use that term, but a little bit of inept when it comes to this sort of stuff. Can't hear you, fella. Yeah, I know. Jesus. It's every one of these little nights, I hit something wrong or do it. It can be a bit of a challenge doing this, guys. Trust me, especially for me. All right, let me go back quickly. Read my lips and the mustache. Yeah. Someone ring me. Yeah, I'm thinking, who's trying to ring me? Oh, jeez. So what have we got, about 10 minutes? I'll probably get bright red in the face. Yeah, I do. Every time something goes wrong, I'll get red in the face. Oh, yeah, I'm all good now. Yeah, that blow. I might have to get rid of that hot spot. That hot spot on there. All right. Let me catch up quickly, guys. Blimey. I think you got it all under control. Look what happens. Yep, one goat. Exactly. Right. I'll have to... what we got going on here? Yeah, Dan tried to call. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I need a lot of people here to keep me in line, more than just lethal. All right, back on track, guys. Sorry, geez, I wish I could just cut these things out, but you just can't do it. All right, so look, I'm going to create a couple of scenarios that sort of have changed over time. Now, I'm going to talk about deer hunting for argument's sake. Look, years ago, it was obviously a lot more lenient, which I've gone into. But if you, let's say, for argument's sake, you are backpacking into an area for deer, and you're going in the national park or whatever, an area you legally can hunt. There's a scenario that you need to be made aware of with your ammunition. Let's say, for argument's sake, you get to your campsite, you set up a base camp and whatever. You've bought in a box of bullets, 20 rounds or whatever. Then the next day you say, I'm just going to put a magazine full in. You need to have that ammunition with you. All right? If you leave that ammunition just put in your tent, that 15 rounds that you're not using just in your tent or whatever, you'll be done for that. And yes, I can tell you now, I know of people that have been done for it. And just be wary that it'll be classed as unsecure ammunition, live ammunition, and yeah, it'll be firearm license loss of. I can just about guarantee it. Another topic that I think is probably one that I'm probably struggling with as much with, because I've thought about going into thermal gear and whatever for sort of use on private land and whatever, but I've also thought, well, it's a big investment to not only just use it in private land, and not that I want to hunt deer with it, but it would come in handy for finding down deer and whatever, and just a monocular I'm talking about, thermal monocular. But my understanding at the moment in Victoria, with a Game Management Authority, is it comes under the laws or the regulations of spotlighting, whether you're using it of a night or a day or whatever. So if you're caught with one of those in there, it's not going to end well. And again, you're going to have to prove yourself innocent after being basically guilty of the fact. So yeah, I'm still struggling with these sort of regs, because there's nothing in the reg book or the rules book directly relating as thermals. It's sort of open to interpretation. But speaking to the GMA, that's what was explained to me. So I think you really need to be made aware of these, how it can be construed in different ways. Now, another scenario, look, I thought about it. If I bought a thermal and was hunting on private land with it, or let's say I was calling in wild dogs or whatever overnight, and using the thermal to spot them, which could be a scenario for me on private ground, then I have to drive back through national park or an area with national park, and let's say I got pulled over and I've got that thermal gear and I've got my rifle in it. Where do I stand? Well, I'm probably going to have a lot of explaining to do. So I think what you need to do in that situation is obviously have proof that where you were on private land. Secondly, lock the unit away, whether it's in your ammunition. I'm talking about the thermal unit. Lock it away in your ammunition. Make sure your rifles are secured properly, because you're going to be in an awkward situation. And let's say, for argument's sake, you've gone onto a property for an afternoon. You've got a thermal unit in your car and you've got it sitting on your front seat. You may not have even used it for that. You may have shot a deer on private land, got it in the back of the car, you're driving back to your campsite or whatever, going through national park, and you've been pinged. Well, another thing I think you can do is take photos of that deer where you've shot it. All right, now some cameras even have capabilities of GPS coordinates of where the shot was taken. So just take these little added sort of safety, create a little bit more of a safety net around, what could possibly be an awkward situation. But yeah, the thermal is something that I really think is sort of advanced to the laws, even though they've been out a little bit. Now, night vision is a different thing. Again, I can understand how they're sort of classed as sort of under the same laws as spotlighting, because basically you do need an illuminator or whatever to get them to work, so it's like an invisible spotlight. But the thermals I sort of struggle with a little bit, but that's the interpretation and that's how we have to work around it. But it's a tricky situation, and a lot of these sort of regulations now, so you really need to get onto the book, look at what you are doing, and try and most of the sort of it's reasonably clear cut in a lot of areas, but there is some areas that are a bit tough. So yeah, anyway, all right, let's have a look at some of the other questions here. They probably just told me don't stress about it. It pisses me off. There's always something. All right, here we go. Now, again, if I answer something here, if you don't like my answer, don't take it for being gospel. But hey mate, Hadib Oja, hope I've said your name right, mate. Hey mate, need to clear something up. My mate Jim said that 12-volt bloodhound is a good choice. Well, if you want to take the risk, it's up to you. Dan Stevens, if your firearms and ammunition were locked away separately, would you be treated differently to anyone else carrying thermal gear? Good question. I'm not sure what you mean by exactly carrying thermal gear, whether it's on you, but I think, look, you can't have it in a hunting situation. That's my understanding, straight up, unless it's in private land. And then other than that, it's classed as under the spotlighting regs. All right. Not mainstream. Shane Villas, rubbish. What's for dinner tonight at Dustin Holmes? I haven't had it yet. It's a mystery. Mark Rankin, hi Robbo. Can I leave ammo locked in a vehicle while out hunting? Depending on the location, look, to be honest with you, if you've gone to every aspect of locking that up, putting it out of sight, and as long as it's separate to the firearm, look, personally, I think it'd be pretty tough to be pinged for that. But again, look, it's hard in a certain situation. If you're saying while out hunting, if I was on private land and I had my firearms with me, the ammunition I wanted just for the day with me, and the rest locked up in a box, in a locked car, Look, personally, if you get done for that, mate, we've got serious issues, but I think you'd be pretty safe. Gordo, I think one of the reasons thermal is considered the same as spotlight when not on private property is it's not fair chase for game hunting perspective. No, that's fair. I don't, like I said, the issue is probably that the regs, the books and whatever haven't probably caught up with this in actually legal terms. So they sort of have to classify what they are into something in the current regs, and I can understand that. So I think in time it'll probably be cleared up more, and understand that the GMA, I know for argument's sake, are having think tanks together, all get together to try and make this whole scenario more clear cut, a lot simpler for all of us. So yeah, but it's not going to happen overnight. So again, just jump on their site, send them an email, ring them and ask them. Look, they're out to help. They're not just out there to sort of ping everyone. And look, it really comes down, they're not after the people that are trying to do the right thing, but just make sure you've done your homework again and sort of, put in a bit of an effort to understand the laws and regulations. And if you don't know them, ring them. Okay, Charles. Here's Steve saying, when backpacking, I have a Maroka 30 bino rig with ammo storage. Inside this is classed as secure storage. If it's with you, mate, it doesn't. Look, if your ammo is with you, you've got no issue. The only time that you've got an issue with ammunition if you're out hunting is when you come up onto a public access road. Now, understand that this can be classed as some of the tracks. All right, walking tracks I think can be included as well. That if you're on these public thoroughfares, you must remove, well, years ago you only had to remove the magazine with bullets in it if you wanted out of the rifle. Now you must remove the bullets out of the mag and put it in a separate, non-easily accessed location. So yeah, they just don't want you to be in a position that you can quickly enable that firearm again when you're on a public access. And I can orientate around that. And look, if you're really paranoid about it and you're thinking, oh, it could be done, I don't think this ammunition is stored correctly or whatever, take your bolt out of your rifle. It's not something I like to do, but take the bolt out of your rifle just to prove that you're serious about it. And again, if you get done for that, that's pretty tough, but I don't think you would. Samba, g'day Robbo. Any ideas or laws regarding having or using someone else's rifle like your dad's? I'm not up with it currently, mate, but look, to be honest with you, if you're a licensed firearms owner, I think you should be able to. But again, that's something I would contact the Vic Police on. Double check that, but yeah, that's something I haven't looked into for a while. But if you're a licensed firearms, got a license, or you've got a firearm license, I should say, I can't see why you can't, providing everything is registered, the firearms are registered. But again, just get onto Vic Pol and double check that. Geez, Hamish Robertson, what's the best day? He shot a 37-inch. Geez, mate, that's huge. Well done. That's a monster. I ain't got nothing anywhere near that, mate. I don't think I've even put the tape measure on any of the ones I shot. Right. Where are we? Shane Villas. Some local council areas in New South Wales are allowed to spotlight deer now. Yeah, I know they've changed. Well, and bear in mind, you can also spotlight deer in a lot of locations on private land in Victoria. A lot of the farmers have got to the point where they had no choice. They can't be out hunting all day, but under the spotlight, obviously they're easy game. So, look, for deer control, I can understand it. Simple as that. Sorry, guys. Itchy nose like usual. Must be the stash. Right. Robin Coker. Regarding thermals on private property in Victoria, even if you're only shooting dogs, foxes or rabbits in recognised deer habitat, get the letter signed by the owner to pest control. then you cover it. Yeah, look, again, that's another thing you can do. Just take those little extra steps. Now, another topic that was brought up, and I've asked this question of one of my local district or divisional firearms officers many years ago, and it was, can I sight my rifle in state forest or in public hunting areas? And the answer to that is still a little vague, but what I would say is, and this is how it was mentioned to me, so I don't think it's actually put in, well, it probably is under a law, but the bottom line is, if you're in there setting up a target and letting off 20 rounds, I think you're going to be in big strife. But if you're in there and you put a rock or something on the ground just to confirm that your rifle is shooting zero, you fire one shot and whatever, I don't think they're going to have an issue with that. It's sort of, you've got to be a little bit practical about it. Don't abuse it, basically. But yeah, as far as sighting your rifle, testing loads and all that in state forests, national parks, no, you're going to get done for it. Alright, where are we up to? Samba, have you ever bumped into any bushwalkers or non-hunters while stalking? It's a good question. Yeah, I think I've given a few a wave and whatever, but never we've sort of come back into some of the public areas that we've all been camped in. And yeah, they've seen us walking in with our firearms and whatever. And that was another issue there for a while, that a lot of the national parks where you could legally hunt, some of their campgrounds still had signs up saying no shooting or no firearms, which was a little bit silly, to be honest with you. And it has been brought up before, but it's common courtesy. If you're going to walk into those areas, you're in a public area, so you've got to make sure your firearms are inactive. So you just treat people with respect, and most people in these campgrounds, they're fine. When you go in and some of them might struggle if you're carrying a deer leg back over your shoulder, but again, there's a way to sort of conceal it a little bit too. You put it in a game bag or whatever. So yeah, we've got to represent ourselves as good as possible when we're in the public arena. So it's just a couple of boys answering the other guy's question. Matthew Robinson. Be careful when, for example, filling up with fuel and you walk off to pay. You must get any unlicensed firearm people out of the car and lock it up while you're going off and pay or buying ice after the hunt. Mate, so they're the little things that, you got to keep in mind. So yeah, it's good because I can understand that you've got firearm in the car, and if someone in that car or that vehicle doesn't have a firearms license, if they want to target you, there's a chance, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Dustin Holmes, have you ever been kicked out of a property for carrying too loud of a calibre, such as a 22-250? No, mate, I don't shoot a 22-250, but obviously there's other rifles. Look, again, you've got to sort of work within the limitations of the area you're in. If we're spotlighting or whatever, I don't want to be going. I'll start off near the farmhouses and whatever early in the night. I'm not going to be going around there at midnight or whatever. And again, I'm not going to be firing high calibered firearms near their house late at night. You sort of work. It's common sense as far as I'm concerned. So no, I haven't been kicked off. So. Yeah, exactly, Dan. Generally tell the property owner you'll be shooting here first. So, yeah, anyway. All right, guys, it's only half an hour in. There's not a lot of questions. Have you ever bumped into rangers or Vic Game Authority? Well, actually, we just caught up with them on last weekend up at Arbuckle Junction. Caught up with Zach and Guy up there, and they were handing out the orange game bags, which were bloody good game bags. So, and again, mate, they're just guys that are doing a job. Don't be afraid to go up and say g'day. And look, they are hunters. Most of them are all hunters themselves, but just carry yourself well. That's all I can say. Cohen McKenzie, in Vic, do you have the local police call around to your place to inspect your firearms and the safekeeping of them on ammo like we do? Yeah, yes we do. And they can be at random, or sometimes like when you get your first firearm or whatever, they'll definitely come around and inspect, or they should be coming around and inspect your storage of both your ammunition and your firearms. So yes, that's pretty standard, I think, Australia-wide. Just who does it. Years ago, I think it used to be the DFO. Sometimes now it's just the local coppers. The local coppers around my place have dropped in here a couple of times, and they've always been really great blokes. Sometimes they've come sort of unannounced, and most of the times they've done it within a reasonable hour, so it hasn't worried me. Just done an inspection, we're on their way. How thorough were they? Was it a shakedown? No, we had a bit of a chuckle within ourselves. It was good to catch up with the boys, actually, up at the game at GMO. Andrew Morris, how was your trip with Daz? Dropped the bike. I saw another good video produced. Good one. Oh, Asa pushed me over. No, it was a little bit. I rode all day. Well, actually, we did a lot of Ks, but yeah, we just decided to turn around and do another run in just to get it on camera. And yeah, it was just put the wheel in the wrong spot when I was turning around. Yeah, but I'm not, like I say, I'm no Toby Price. The hunting truckie. Did they say where you can get the game bags? Would love a few. Get onto them, mate. Just send them an email or whatever down at the GMA, and I'm sure they'll get them out to you, or you'll find a location to get some. But also just keep in mind now, I think there's a few people on here that have actually had emails sent to them asking if they want to be part of sort of like a group session with the GMA just to discuss certain topics and whatever. So if you get the opportunity, by all means, guys, jump on it, because look, like I said, they're not there to get you doing something wrong if you're trying your best to do the right thing. But again, just you need to be a step ahead of the game, because the laws are changing. It's tough for them to interpret as just as much as us, but we've got to listen to what they say. They are our governing bodies, or they're enforcing the laws, so we just need to make sure that we're aware of it. Don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's pretty much the situation. Dancing change of address will also prompt an inspection. Yes, yes, guaranteed. Richard Hadfield, telling you 80 millimetres of rain, not 20 mils, like I thought Sunday night. Yeah, it was a little bit wild and that, but we're up at 1,600 metres, so you got to expect it. But yeah, you just batten down the hatches, and yeah, look, mate, I love it. It was a challenge, something different. Yeah, and I'd do it again. Wouldn't even think twice about it. Richard Hadfield, where was the rifle on the bike, Robbo? We never took the rifle, just took the cameras. Is there any new laws we need to know about? Oh, there probably is, mate, but look, that's a question more to ask the GMA, because, like I said, I sort of look at what is associated with what I do. I'm not going to look into the duck shooting, or I don't hunt hog deer or whatever. So, but if in doubt, give them a call. If you think it's a more firearm related topic, get onto VicPol. I'm sure they'll help you. If you sort of ask the right questions, do your bit first though. Don't just ring up and ask a stupid question that's obvious in the books. At least read through and do your best, and maybe quote a couple of the rules and that in there. Say, does this apply to what I'm talking about, or is there another rule? Get them to, they're like anything, mate. They're just as accountable as us. They've got to help us out. If we ask a question, they've got to do their best to sort of point us in the right direction, show us a regulation or rule that deals with our question. So, yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask. Well, it certainly doesn't hurt to ask. Robin Coker, gun safes in Vic are under heavy scrutiny, even though it states in the safety handbook they can be locked in a wooden safe. I don't reckon any firearms officer would accept that. Yeah, look, again, it used to come down to weight of the safe, whether it had to be bolted down in the construction or whatever, but yeah, again, it's getting to the point where I wouldn't be surprised. But in most cases, well, again, it might have changed, but if the people that I've known that have sort of their storage requirements haven't been up to scratch, they've sort of been given like a week or time to get it up to scratch, and then they'll come back on another inspection, unless it's obviously you've got something totally wrong. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So again, yeah, if in doubt, buy a bigger safe. Samba, have you or your mates had a deer scent hound? What are the laws like in Vic with dogs? Again, I'm not into dogging, but I know all the dogging crews have to have all the dogs registered now, I think. I'm pretty sure they do. They all have to be accountable. And look, to be honest with you, I think they're all open to inspection, the type of dogs they use and whatever. So, no, I don't personally do it. Lee's obviously got April as a Vizsla, but that's more of a companion dog. So it's not what I'd class as what you'd use for hound hunting. Deutbag, using radios, GPS during hunts, different rules for dogging. Thoughts? Again, I don't know. Again, it comes down to I don't do dogging, so I don't get involved with all the laws. So I wouldn't be surprised that you have different laws for that. Can't really help you there, mate. Dustin Holmes, have you ever had a gun shop owner not suggest a gun because the authorities are pretty quick on them, such as the Adler A110 lever shotgun? Well, to be honest with you, as much as I can't see any issue with anyone having the lever action shotguns, when they come out and there was a big push, everyone wanted them, or a lot of people wanted them, I thought, oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. And yeah, it's sort of, I've held off. I didn't need one, I didn't want one, and I thought I'll just see what happens. So yeah, look, the trouble is lever action shotguns, lever action rifles, where do you stop? So look, we know we've got a fight on our hands, guys. So again, just hopefully our people in charge of our sporting organisations are doing their best to try and keep this at least where we've got it. It'd be great to get some things back, but I'm not holding my breath. Dom, dogs, are you allowed to carry a rifle on a bike? Well, I'm not the one to answer that question. I have my interpretations on that, and I'm not going to tell you one way or the other. But I would contact the GMA and your Divisional Firearms officer and see what answer they give you, and then get back to me, because I'll be very interested. Deutbag, yes, I think that's pretty much, as long as you secure it correctly, that's pretty much what I'm understanding, but contact the authorities, double check. Alright, yes. I've heard mixed things on storing the bolts separate to the firearm. What's your stance on that? Look, I personally don't like to ever remove my bolts out of my firearms. Not because I'm worried about making them unsafe, making them safer. I just think I know what'll happen. I'll put it in the wrong spot. I'll lose the bloody thing. So, unless, look, you can. If you're worried about it, the other thing you can do is put a trigger lock on. As long as your ammunition, at the moment, as long as your ammunition stored separately in a locked container, your firearm is out of sight in a locked vehicle, or just take every precaution you can. Look, I don't think in Victoria you need to take the bolt out of your rifle at this stage. Again, double check, but just put a trigger lock on or something extra if you're concerned about it. New South Wales, different scenario, maybe possibly other states. Okay, hold on, let me just double check here. Axel Mech, Evening, Robbo. Maybe a silly question, but if I own a gun that is prohibited in another state, is it prohibited just to own in said state, or can I not take it through there either? No, yeah, I know you. Look, again, I don't keep up with the New South Wales laws for argument's sake, but I know they have all this thing with pistol grips and whatever now. So if we can legally have that pistol grip style rifle or whatever down here in Victoria, no, we can't take it through into New South Wales. Whether you could transport, well, to be honest with you, no, I don't know the answer to that question. But for argument's sake, I wouldn't be taking what is considered a legal rifle into Victoria to obviously New South Wales that has different laws on it. And transporting that through New South Wales to bring it to Victoria, I think you'd be done too. So. Let me just double check here. Sammy James. Hi Steve, this is a bit off topic and apologies in advance, but I'm just wondering what your opinions on VOC's Great Forest National Park proposal and how it will affect our hunting and access. Well, it's a look, to be honest with you, it's one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard of. And to be honest with you, if the current fires and that have gone through in New South Wales and some of the lack of access and what it's turned to up there hasn't been a slap on the face like with wet fish to some of these authorities to understand what the benefits are of some of the bygone era, whether it's grazing of cattle, whether it's forestry or whatever. If it's done correctly and managed correctly, it's renewable. It's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard, I'm sorry to say, but yeah. So hopefully that's answered it, Sammy. Phantom HD, have you passed up shooting a deer to shoot a dog? Many times. Angus Bull, is it okay to leave my gun in a mate's safe for 1 or 2 nights if he has license and all that? Good question. Again, New South Wales, I'd double check with you in that case, the police. But I think 1 or 2 nights, look, you'd be tough to be, but I'd double check on that. But if it's left there for a while, now what's a while? They may have a time frame. You would have to put a change of address or wherever your firearms are stored. So you'd have to contact them on if it's legal and for what time frame. Again, it's worth a phone call, mate. Stephen Popey, hi Robbo, how are you, mate? Sorry guys, a bit dry. Okay, Matthew Warren, I get fed up with red tape, like being allowed to hunt sambar in national parks, which is fantastic. But I find it silly that you can sit and watch a pack of wild dogs and not be allowed to shoot them. Matthew, you're not the only one. But we have to abide by the current rules and regulations. The Hunter's Ministry. Robbo, hope you're well. Yeah, I'm travelling all right. Travelling with firearms. Does it need to be chained or secured? Can they get you for leaving it in a car unaccompanied whilst away from the vehicle? Yeah, look, again, you need to... There's been a few different scenarios that have been put to me, and ideally, you want to make that firearm as secure as you possibly can. Definitely out of sight. Definitely made it isn't inactive, whether it's a trigger lock or whatever. I don't think there's a current reg that says you have to even do that, but it just needs to be out of sight, separate to the ammunition. But like, you've got to be responsible. Obviously, if you're not near the vehicle or within sight of that vehicle, it needs to be locked. But if you're going to go in and sit down at the pub and have a can of lunch and be in there for a few hours, have a few beers and it gets knocked off, you might be in a bit of trouble. But if you go into, say, a service station and you have everything out of sight, lock your car, you walk in and someone does a smash and grab, I think you'd be pretty, unlucky to get done for that. So you have to think about the situation. You're responsible for that firearm and ammunition at all times. Now, whether that's at home, whether it's in your car, you've got to look at the situation that you've put yourself in and that firearm. Where are we? Hentley Beringer. Hi Steve, what's your opinion on shooting sticks? Well, it depends on type. Yeah, very, very good lightweight option. And obviously you've probably seen we used to use, and we still use, the steady sticks, the old Stony Point steady sticks, not Stony Creek. Justin Holmes, folding stock rifles. If you have one, can I take it to competition in New South Wales if licensed in Vic? Again, ring up the New South Wales Police. Mate. I would be possibly saying no. That's my gut feeling that no would be the answer. Angus Bull, no problems, mate. Thank you. Colin McKenzie. Okay, he's just answering Angus. Yeah, thanks guys. Alright, what do we got? Can you leave powder and primer? This is Gavin McDevitt. Can you leave powder and primers in your reloading press? Well, I possibly wouldn't. Let's just say that. I can't see it as being classed as loaded ammunition, but you're only allowed to have a certain amount of powder. Storage and that isn't been sort of, we're at the stage where let's just say we don't have to have a TNT case or anything like that. But again, you just got to be responsible for it. Yeah, it could be open to interpretation, but it possibly wouldn't be something I would do. Alright, looks like we're getting close to the end, guys. Again, sorry for a bit of stuff. Bloody one button, mate. Alright, Aaron Maynard. Hey, Robbo, how are you, mate? Yeah, not bad, not bad. I'll be glad to get through one of these without a technical issue. The technical issue is this bloke controlling it. Pump actions and semi-autos. Do you miss them? Thoughts on restrictions? Yeah, of course I miss them, but I've worked around it. It's like anything, you know. If you never had it before, you probably wouldn't miss it, but because you've had it and then it's taken away from you, if you were to probably ask someone like myself, yeah, I'd say I'd miss it. But if you were to ask some young person that's just come up with bolt action rifles, they'd probably think, no, they're happy with what they got. So, yeah, look, to be honest with you, no, look, I can live with the current rules as long as we just sort of stay on a level playing field now, and we do our part to try and give them no reason to change. And that's going to be a tough ask. All right. Make sure I miss one here. Mr. Z-Man. Hi, Rob. Can you get done carrying an O-light in the glove box and a packed up rifle in deer habitat travelling from property to property? I think it'd be tough if you had an O-light in there, but it can be classed as a spotlight, but you're talking from property to property. But if you are in a, what do they call it, deer habitat, yeah, lock it up. That's what I'd say. Lock it up with your ammunition, or lock it in a separate box. Just give them no reason. Just make sure that they can see that when you're travelling, that rifle cannot be accessed quickly, easily, and whatever. It's there, it's stored. That would be my advice. Hunt and Fish NZ just made it. Good to see you, mate. Aaron Hewitt. Sad reality of Queensland. No state forest hunting. I wish it got off the ground. For the meanwhile, I'll just drive over to New South Wales. Yeah, Queensland's a bit of an issue there, and it's a bit of a shame because there's some fantastic hunting areas up there. Hopefully that might change in the future. Stephen Popey. Robbo, if you're at a fuel station and someone broke into your car while you're paying yourself, you'll be charged. Yeah, mate, what can I say? Yeah, look, you just got to have your eyes and ears on around you nowadays. But bottom line is, if you're going into a servo, fill up where you can see your vehicle. It's just a situation, just the world we live in now. So you've got to take more precautions than you think you may have to. So anyway, Aaron, thanks, mate. I'm a young shooter. All right, guys, I think we're just about going to round it up unless there's some other questions. I'm trying to think of any other quick scenarios I can talk about, but definitely jump on, have a look at the links I'll put on there. Don't hesitate to contact the GMA, and yeah, go from there. And like I said, the Vic Police probably don't have as many avenues for you to contact sort of their governing bodies. But look, your divisional firearms officers, if you're in Victoria, or I'm not sure what they call them in New South Wales or the other states, but look, they're not the bogeyman. Just give them a ring. But like I said, do your homework first. Just check make sure you've checked as much as you possibly can. All right, what do we got here? Dan79 was it? Truly appreciated. Thanks, mate. It's always nice to know. It's appreciated. Gordo, for those wondering, reloading powers and their storage fall under Dangerous Goods Act, not Firearms Act. So if you can look there for storage requirements. See, this is what I need, guys. Great information. Thanks, Gordo. Justin Brearley, hi Robbo. Sorry if you've covered this already. I probably did it while I was lip syncing. Yeah, I hit the wrong button if you didn't gather that earlier on. Hopefully it's not for too long. I knew there'd be some people ringing me for something. Hi Robbo, so if you covered this already, what's a go with storing firearms when you're on the road and you're staying with friends that don't have firearms? Yeah, look, I wouldn't have them too far away from you, sort of thing. Make sure you secure it as secure as possible. Justin Home, thanks Robert for another great vid. Thanks mate, thanks for watching. Yeah, hunting trap, you need to pay for fuel, get the wife to go in. Yeah, look, it's sad to say it guys, but they're the sort of things, it's all these little things you have to think about now, There's so many lowlifes out there that if they're not still on trail cameras, I'll be trying to knock something off out of your vehicle. So as much as there's some fantastic people out there, you just got to be prepared. Cover every avenue where you possibly can. And that's what they want to see. If they see that you've tried your best, shit, you're going to be bloody tough if you get done for it. But it can happen. What's this one? Dom Dogs, just a long shot, but any forest you suggest for some sambar meat? Mate, I can tell you now, there is sambar right throughout Victoria. It's just a matter of how many in certain locations. So put in the time, you'll find them. Just drive up or ride up in our situation, get on a hill, get the binos out and spend the time observing what tends to walk around. I can think of a lot worse ways to spend an afternoon. Not even going to answer. Not even going to look at Robin Cokers here. I'll get in trouble. Caneworthy Constructions, how are you, mate? Hey, Robbo, have a mate that had lost his licence, old bloke, been doing the right thing for 50 years and accidentally left... I don't know what. He's obviously not finished what there, but yeah, look, that's the trouble, mate. The old guys don't think they're doing anything wrong, and look, it's been an issue with a lot of the farmers over the years. Their firearms are just another tool, and they need them readily available. And because there's been a few crims and that have sort of tagged onto that, and been a lot of firearms going missing from a lot of properties. So yeah, it's sad times, but basically we just have to work around it and make sure we're a step ahead of it. Richard Hadfield, good work, Robbo. Next video due when, mate? Well, for those that haven't seen Daz Into the Mountains and Jono from Deer Diary, they've just put up a couple of fantastic videos. Of our last little trip away at the Cup weekend. I'm sort of holding off. I've got to go in for a little bit of surgery, so I'll be out of action for a while, so I'm sort of keeping that to keep me entertained. So yeah. Righto, where are we at? Doitbag, the issue with the firearm regulations is that not exactly clear cut and open to interpretation from the police or GMA officers. Yeah, like I said, I think if you sat a dozen people down, including police and GMA, they may all have different interpretations of the laws, and I'm sorry to say it, but it has to be written in legal jargon, and I can understand why they can't. We'd love to have it in layman's terms, but it's never going to happen. So you just try and get the best interpretation, and then if you're not 100% sure, take that double step to sort of get cover yourself. Henley, but thanks, mate, for your videos and all help offered to us new hunters. I'll never get bored watching them. No, pleasure, mate. It's a pleasure. Thanks, Henley. Yeah, Kane is just saying about the old bloke. Yeah, mate, it can be tough, I tell you. Yeah, that's another thing you got to be real careful of, guys, and we're very wary about, like, especially when we used to be out spotlighting, doing massive nights on the foxes and rabbits and whatever, and you might have been in the back of a ute and whatever, and you've obviously got empty cases going everywhere in the back of the ute. But every now and then you might have a misfire or something like that, and you eject it and it ends up in a corner of a ute or something like that. That's a live round. If you get pulled over and that's found in your vehicle, that's loss of license. So that is a very, very common thing. So double check if you're out doing a big night and spotlighting bunnies or whatever. Double check that your vehicle hasn't got any live rounds left, because yeah, I'm sure we've all been guilty of it at times, and it's been through. There might be one that's gone under the back corner or something. Guarantee you won't see it, but the authorities will find it. It's Murphy's Law. Alright, in Queensland you can store up to 15 kilos of propellant powder, and it comes under the Department of Mines. That's interesting to know, mate. Sex change, well, I don't know. The amount they're charging me, I reckon I should be up for one of them. Maybe I'll become a real man. Can't ring your SFF member about the old guy, get his licence back. Yeah. It's tough, I tell you. Mow removal, oh well, there's a lot of people who like to do that, hair by hair. Probably a good example for everyone that is serious issue and be considered. Thanks, Kane Worthy. Alright guys, I'll give you a couple of seconds if there's any more questions. Again, sorry for that bloody few seconds. I know people say we're not to worry about it, but I'd just like to get through it without one stupid little mistake. So anyway, I know we got something here. Clint Moore, is it legal to have a mag with rounds in it stored in an ammo box in your safe, not in a rifle? I don't know on that one. Again, I double check, but it's something that I wouldn't do for a couple of reasons. I don't like to leave my ammo stored in my magazines for too long. One, your spring will start to lose tension, especially if you've got full rounds in it. And really I don't see the need to do that. So to answer your question, it would be something I wouldn't do. Breaking in barrels question. Yeah, some do it, some don't. Depends on the rifle. Hunting rifles, I don't tend to worry about it. Varmint rifles and rifles that you want supreme accuracy out of, yeah, probably a bit more fastidious. Good cleaning from the word go is the key. That's it. Simple as that. Money, no problems. Yeah, exactly. Good night. All right, guys. Thanks again for everyone tuning in. It is very much appreciated, and I will see you in a couple of weeks.